All right, people, we're back into the action on the hottest show on the streets, number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA. Continue hitting that subscribe button, tapping that like button, giving us that thumbs up right there on the show. But as we get back into the conversation, of other marquee standouts, different players, positional units, groups that showed up and showed out in the spring game. So we start this off with five-star freshman running back Justice Haynes. He will be a factor in the fall. Coach Saban said it. He will contribute in this running back room in the fall. Maturity well beyond his years. You don't know. You really wouldn't believe this young man's a freshman by the way he plays. Tore up spring ball all spring long. We got word in both scrimmages how dominant he was. In the A-Day game, the icing on the cake, 3 touchdowns. Had a touchdown reception as well. And if not for Malachi Moore having a great day on defense, this guy would have probably been the Dixie Howell Memorial MVP. Justice Haynes would have probably got MVP of the game. What a performance by him. Tough runs, catching the ball at the backfield as a receiver. Led the Crimson offense, 4 catches for 40 yards. Haynes can play. Can flat out play. And I've said this before. When Bama's had a freshman running back come in here and mean business, it has been at their apex. Whether that guy was Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, TJ Yeldon, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, when they've had a freshman come in here and immediately contribute and mean business, Bama has been at its apex. So Justice Haynes will definitely be a factor for your Crimson Tide. Another guy that really truly showed up here in terms of Alabama. When you look at the receiver room for a minute here, you gotta go with Malik Benson. Malik Benson showed up there late in the game. He did. I feel like Alabama kind of hit him until late in the football game, but he did show up there late with 4 to 5 catches. One of those 4 to 5 catches being there for a touchdown. Also, Jalen Hale had a big game out there as well. He had 2 to 3 receptions for about 27 yards, the freshman. So you had a couple of receivers that showed up, but prior to talking about that, the offensive line with position coach Eric Wolford. Offensive line had some good moments, blocking out there for the running backs, creating those running lanes there. But for Eric Wolford, I think the big thing here is that left tackle position. You started off with Elijah Pritchett there. Pritchett from Georgia. He's got talent. He's got ability at that spot, but the speed on the edge, whether it's Quindarius Robinson, whether it's Malachi Moore coming off the edge blitzing, a little bit too much for him early on. I would look at maybe flipping J.C. Latham, the left tackle, having Pritchett at right tackle, or if you're just gung-ho about keeping Latham at right tackle, possibly looking at Caden Proctor, the 5-star freshman, for that left tackle spot. I'm just saying, Pritchett's got some potential. He's got some tools, not writing them off, but when you're playing in the SEC and you're going up against these marquee pass rushers, whether it's defensive ends, whether it's outside linebackers, whether it's defensive backs coming off the edge, you got to have the speed to catch these guys and prevent them from getting to your quarterback. So offensive line, you could see a bit more shifting here as we go into the offseason, summer workouts, fall camp, but we'll definitely see. As we look at Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele has this defense back right. He's got this defense hungry, flying around the football, that those hateful competitors he's got those guys back on defense. Whether it was the defensive line creating pressure with Jamil Burrows up front, with Jaheim Otis up front, with different other guys up front. Whether it was the linebackers, Justin Jefferson creating plays, the JUCO transfer, Tresman Marshall hitting gaps, Jahad Campbell hitting gaps, Sean Murphy hitting gaps. Linebackers were hitting gaps, shooting, flying to the football. Kevin still had those guys doing that. Whether it was the outside linebackers, Quindarius Robinson, Keanu Cote, Jeremiah Alexander getting to the quarterback, that was happening. Whether it was the defensive secondary, several guys making plays, Kevin Steele has this defense playing with a controlled aggression, a swagger, a discipline, an energy, just a different attitude to it. And Malachi Moore talked about it. Kevin Steele, tough, aggressive, demanding, wanting guys to play to an elite standard, and he's inject that energy into this Alabama defense, and I am 100% here for that. And I'm proud of what Kevin Steele was able to accomplish there in terms of just the spring game. As we look now, the tight end position. Now, Eli, here's a spot where in the 6 national championships of the Nick Saban era, the tight ends have played a role, right? 2009, we all remember Colin Peak. He played a role. 2011, we remember Brad Smelly and Michael Williams. They played a role. 2012, Michael Williams played a role. 2015, even though Lane Kiffin tried his best to hide O.J. Howard from the rest of the world, when it came time for the college football playoff, O.J. the Juice Man said, hey, let me at him, and played a role. 2017, that national championship, Irv Smith played a role. 2020, that national championship, the combination of Miller Forrestall and Jaleel Billingsley played a role. So when you've had those tight ends, made a priority, it's been big. And during the A-Day game, we talked about this, Eli. Tommy Rees loves those tight ends. Used them a lot there at Notre Dame. Used them a lot in the spring game. C.J. Dupree, the transfer from Maryland, had a catch. Danny Lewis Jr., who has come alive, he had 3 to 4 catches. Amari Nyblack had about 3 to 4 catches. Miles Kinselman, and folks thought he was just a blocking tight end. He had about 3 to 4 catches. So that tight end room got utilized. That tight end room got used there. Joe Cox, tight ends coach, has done a fine job of developing this group. So that position unit, you're going to see some work here in this upcoming season. Very happy there about the tight ends. And as we look at this, last but not least here, the Alabama secondary, you got versatile depth, athletic secondary. I'm going to say this. As much as, I was pleased with guys like, Jake Pope, who had 10 tackles out there, a sack, a pass breakup, a big hit there on Jermaine Burton. And Jake Pope is going to have a say here in this rotation at safety. What I came away with, Eli, was the depth that showed up at the cornerback position. After Alabama lost, Jacquez Robinson and Traquan Fagans to the portal days before the spring game. Both of those two, Coach Saban mentioned, played the star position. So you had to move Malachi back to star for the first team, and you had to have Earl Little play star Malachi's star for the second team. Earl Little had to play star for the second team defense there, or for the first team defense there. So it was kind of crazy how that all kind of played a role there. But the depth at corner showed up. Antonio Kite had 3 pass breakups. That was huge. You had Des Ricks, 3 pass breakups. That was huge. So you've seen the depth there. Jaleel Hurley had some good moments out there. So you're seeing the athletic, versatile depth. And Coach Saban talked about it. You got to grow some guys up quick. You got to grow some guys up fast. Des Ricks, Antonio Kite, ready for the growing process. Jaleel Hurley, ready for the growing process. So that was good to see Alabama locate some athletic depth there in its secondary, especially at the boundary corner position.